How's the audio now? How's that audio now, if anyone is there with me? No one there yet. Let me see myself. Perfect, perfect. We got a couple there. Like my own video. Give myself a like. How about you guys do that too if you could? Copy link. Let's go to Discord and we'll pop this in over here. Give me a shout in the comments. I got one like. Oh, that was me. Why didn't that pop up like it normally does? 4 likes. We're on fire. We are on fire. Oh, Zed Gazette. Look at this, guys. Zed Gazette. Can you guys see that? Pull back. There we go. Look, he's giving me some... Well, he's giving the whole crew there a breathless edge little tip sheet on how Atari was made, which is great. And I'll be taking note of that and replicating to some degree. All right, we lost a couple of viewers. They don't like what they're hearing early on, but what we're going to be talking about, and you guys can throw some questions in the chat as well, or throw some ideas in the chat as we go. Should Zed horses be able to run infinitely, forever? You know, unlimited races. And the more I think about it, the more I think there might be potential issues. Some potential issues. Yo, Tyler, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Looking forward to doing that breed later, mate. When the breeding barn opens up, we've locked in an insane him. A beautiful little filly with Tyler, which should be great. All right, so yeah, should Zed horses be able to race indefinitely? Now, I don't see this as a problem whatsoever right now, because I think there's plenty of potential to surpass the current champions, which makes them somewhat organically need to retire when they're no longer competitive. I'll get to these questions in a moment. When they're no longer competitive, they'll just start to retire. You're seeing it with some of the Genesis horses now. A couple of mine have sort of crossed that threshold of where I think, are they profitable? Do I just want to rest them until maybe more races open up where they're a better chance of winning? Okay, so at the moment, racing indefinitely is not a problem at all. But in the future, I kind of feel like it might be. Like, if we keep progressing, you know, in 10 years' time, 5 years' time, and the only reason I think this is an issue is because I think we hit a wall at some stage where we've progressed so much and it's very hard to progress too much further, that we just end up with this loggerhead, if you like, of all similar strengthed horses. Okay, and I think if we set a limit on the number of races, and whether that be 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 races, you know, make it so that you get plenty of run out of your horses, but just the ability, like let's do a working example here. Let's say in 5 years' time we've got a freak of a horse called Mr. X. Okay, go and breed yourself a Mr. X. Or we can call him Mr. Ed, but Mr. X sounds good. And it's far superior to all the other horses at that particular time. And this Mr. X can run for as many races forever as he can. Now let's say that horse is near the ceiling of what is possible. Okay, I don't know what that ceiling is. We're seeing some horses that are running light speed at the moment, running really, really fast. And when we get all our horses sort of breaking Mark 1, are we able to then progress to Mark 2? You know, maybe we are. Maybe we aren't. And if we aren't, then I think we need a way to sort of thin out the field naturally. You know, the ability to breed forever is a good thing because we don't want to lose any of the genetic jigsaw puzzle. We don't want to rule those out and figure out that, I wish we had have kept some grandeur genetics, because it turns out he's critical to the breeding line, and we really didn't know what we were doing, and we stuffed up all the uses that we had. So I think breeding forever is probably a good thing, but racing forever at this stage is fine. But as we move into the future, I'm worried that we're going to progress so far that we're just going to end up with a stack of horses all roughly the same. When I think winners and standout winners are important. You see it in real racing today. When one absolutely incredible racer comes along, they dominate for 2 or 3 years, 20, 30 races, 40 races, and then they retire. You know, and in Zed, I think we can run a little bit longer than that. We can run 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 races. But I think a natural point at where you start thinking, oh, I've only got 500 races left, I need to be selective and only choose the big feature events or something like that as we go. Right, so that's my thoughts on that anyway. I think we start to get to a point where we lose the progression. Maybe we don't. Maybe we go Mark 1, then Mark 2, and all of a sudden we got rocket boosters on the back and it's just like a quarter-mile drag race, just down the straight. Who knows? Let's have a look if there's any relatively questions first before we get back. Hero Wen, 100%, you're agreeing with me, I guess. Yeah, or the other way to look at that is let the horses race indefinitely as kind of sick Widdet, at reading, has said. Maybe they have a natural decline. Maybe you get the full 100% up to 1,000 runs, 2,000 runs, and then you start losing a little bit of fatigue or something. You know, the fatigue comes in even when you're not racing. You just sort of tail off. And that allows that next future champion to come through and be a standout, because that's the feature I'm worried about losing, is that next future champion in 5 years won't be noticeable because he comes up against 30 other old champions that are 5 years old that, you know, so he's not special. But if they keep coming through, we want to keep seeing the Winkses and the Pinkmans. I mean, Winks is a real horse, but Pink in Zed talk, Pinkman, who else is a good bred horse? Queen, you know, these kind of horses coming through. Silly Samwise, who's Tyler's horse, a very good bred horse coming through now. We want these horses to be standouts in their own timestamp period. You know, we don't want them just to come up and be ho-hum ordinary because everything else is insanely talented. So there needs to be a way to either continually progress or continually fade out those gun horses. Now, I'm not suggesting, you know, it has to be over a really, really short time frame, but just some sort of time frame for natural rolling progression. So something to think about. Anyway, guys, it'll be a little bit more controversial, and it's got nothing to do with Genesis or bred horses or being jealous of the winners right now. I love the winners. The winners is what this game's about, and that's what I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose the standout winners. That's what I think we have at risk. Let's have a look at questions. Pop your questions in there. I've sort of said my little rant, had me rant. God, geez, guys, it's hard to get you guys to hit that like button, isn't it? 7 likes, 20 odd viewers. It's tough. You're a tough crowd. You're a very tough crowd. Andy, what's up? I'm doing well. Just went for a walk. Absolutely beautiful day here. We're coming into, I guess, autumn. I don't know. You guys maybe call it something different. So autumn. We've just had summer through autumn and now moving into the cooler months. But I live in a pretty tempered climate, if that's the right word. I've got no idea. Where it's pretty mild and beautiful. Must be about 25, 6, 7, 8 degrees out there today. It's gorgeous. Swim day. All right. Michael, do odds and preferred distances change? I don't think so, Michael. I haven't noticed it with my horses, that horses change their preferred distance or odds as they reach certain race totals or new class levels. Now, I have heard rumours of people seeing this, but I haven't seen it myself. All my horses have maintained, all my good horses that have raced, you know, 400, 500 races, seem to hold their preferences and their odds. Now, sorry, the odds do change as you move up classes, sometimes. If you've got a really, really strong horse, it might stay around 5, 6 to 1, regardless of what field it's in. Look at Ducky Malone. Ducky Malone was $4, $5 horse 6 months ago, and now you whack Ducky into the best class one, it's still like $6.50. So what that says about those styles of horses is that when Ducky runs, Ducky wins. okay? And it doesn't change much with the field around her, all right? But if you get a horse that has a $3 Griffin, and then as you move up classes, it might be 20 to 1 in a class 1, that means you've got a pretty decent horse that has a really consistent range but doesn't have any of those really quick runs that are going to win no matter what. Ducky has really quick runs that if she decides to go, she wins, okay? And that's kind of why the odds stay relatively level with that horse. Just reading the questions here. Pop your questions in if you have any. Super horses. Yeah, Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3 as we go up. It's just going to get a little bit ridiculous. I mean, what might happen is as you go up the grades, they just dial back the race algorithm. So you sort of you're progressing as the other horses are getting, I don't know how it's going to work, but we need to keep the ability to have standout winners coming through every couple of months, you know, that are just like, whoa, everyone's talking about, everyone's talking about them as they come through. You made the live show, Super Mapleton. Well done, mate. Hit that subscribe and like button and all the good stuff for me. That would be awesome. Obviously, I do a couple of these lives. I felt like I had an idea while I was walking about the horses with infinite races, and I thought, oh, I'm not sure about this. Come home, jump on the live. So you never know when I'm going to be on here, unless hit the little subscribe and the ding-dong bell. Get notifications. Wild Catter is another great exclusive horse. And to some degree, Wild Catter has now progressed up to Class 1 and doesn't really stand out within that field. In fact, in Class 1, we're not really seeing any standouts at the moment as such. Sure, there are horses that go on mad runs, aren't there? Like, well, actually, I do tell a lie. Baroque is a bit of a standout, and she's run, I think I saw, about 200 races. But even with Baroque and the likes of Breathless Edge, they'll have 30 races where they do incredibly well. The next 30, they might not do that well. But the quality of those fields is getting tighter and tighter, so it would be nice to see, and we'll see it soon, I'm sure, the next sort of dominant horse float into those Class 1s around that Ducky Malone level of 6 to 1 as a bred horse. How long till we see that? I'd love to see it in the next couple of months. That'd be great. But we don't want to move too quickly, but yeah, there's a balance there. We do want the winners. I love the idea, Michaela, of maiden races. Races where you can only enter if you haven't won a race yet. Okay? Love that idea. Griffin, first race, your debut race. And then maiden, only can race them if you haven't had a win yet. Beautiful, I love it. Or even maybe maiden can be if you haven't finished top 3. But I like, haven't won, that's fine. Go in the maiden. And races for the slugs. Make the winners 10, 11, 12. Yeah, the funny thing about that, though, is Pink Man will still win them all because he comes first or last. And same with Ducky. In fact, Ducky would do better in that style race than in the normal races because Ducky finishes last, and Pink Man, but last more than first, I would think. Better Financial Partners shout out. Thanks for joining. Starting in the game now. Picked up a Zed Run Colt. Going for the big dollars. The big boppers first. Hesitant to rate. Yeah, absolutely. My first Zed Run I sat on for ages and ages. And it comes down to, if you're only ever going to buy one Zed Run, then it's different to if you intend on, if that was the first 10% of your budget and you're hoping to buy another 9. Then that's different. And even where I am at now, I bought a couple of rare unraced Zed Ones about a month ago, and I had 2 of them, and I left them unraced for ages. Then I picked up another 2 rare unraced Zed Ones, and I said, well, now I've got 4. There's a good chance one of these is half decent. So I raced them all, and actually 2 of them were good. 2 of them were good. Another 2, not so good. But we don't know. Maybe they're great breeders. Maybe they're great mudders. Some mud runners, maybe they're just guns in box 1 and that hasn't been turned on yet. Maybe they're guns in Australia and we don't know it or something. Who knows? Matty T. How are you, Maddie T? Love the channel. Thanks for your support. I really, really appreciate it. We've got something really cool going on here as a community. Across the board, shout out to the likes of Zed Gazette. Gets a little touchy and grumpy in the old Discord, don't you, Zed, mate? But we love you. We love what you do. Check out zedgazette.com, I think it is, or just Google Zed Gazette, you'll find it. All sorts of helpful hints and tips and just incredible information over there. Doofy Racing on YouTube. Jump over, give Doofy a subscribe. Am I forgetting anyone? Who else are you following? Who else are you guys following that I should give a shout out to? What do we got here? Shoot up some other questions if you got them. I got a couple more here. Monkhouse. My horse won 2 out of the first 6 races and now after 33 can't get odds below 20. You should have been keeping an eye on those odds early days. Early days, maybe, because what tends to happen is you'll get these horses that aren't great and often they'll get 1 or 2 lucky wins early. And if they're doing that at 15 or 20 odds, then I usually park them up and maybe look to breed and or maybe look to sell. Now, I'm not suggesting you should sell all the ones that are a bit iffy, because what happens when we find out they have a purpose, I'm going to be pulling my hair out because I've bought and sold. I've now got, I don't know, 20 odd Z1s, but I've probably owned closer to 40 and turned over and sold, 15 or 20. And I'm sure there's a few of those that I'll be like, oh, why did I sell that one? So it's kind of a funny balance. We don't know the whole picture to be able to do that, but you can't be frozen into doing nothing. You've got to play the game as an early adopter because there's lots of opportunity to duck and weave and buy and sell and trade. Trade your way into a position that you think will be advantageous in the coming months or years. And you make a mistake or you make a good decision or a bad one, you just got to take it as it comes. Michaela, what would you say good start for your stable starting from scratch? Depends on your budget, really. I would say you need exposure to Genesis because they're limited edition. There's only ever 38,000. The 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, there's only 1,000 each. Within 2 years, if this game keeps going the way it's going, there's going to be millions of horses. And then it will exponentially grow each time, every day because of the breeding. If you've got 1 million horses and they're all breeding, you're going to have another 100,000 the next month, and then it's going to keep exponentially growing as far as horses. So in a very short time, 38,000 is going to look like a tiny number. Okay, so these guys are going to be valuable. Well, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't listen to me on that level. But the Genesis horse is going to be collectible. And as Vivi said, what if it's trash? Yeah, well, I try and sell my trash ones and upgrade to good ones. But even the trash ones on a collectible level, because they are the limited edition, they are the original horse, are going to be collectible when there's 2 million horses in the ecosystem or 10 million horses in the ecosystem. Just as a pure collectible item, a piece of original artwork, I think. But don't listen to me. I make lots of mistakes, so don't listen to me. Just looking at questions, where am I up to? Sigma Stable, shout out. I don't know why I'm shouting out Sigma Stable. Is that you, Kent? Have you got a YouTube channel? If you do, there you go. Look up Kent, Sigma Stable. Got a horse pulling 8 to 10 odds, already winning, percentage of 18 over 60 races. Yeah, it's probably an overperformer. That's normal. Insane Him is constantly getting 8 to 10 odds, and he's at 20%, 21% over 350 races. So it's possible to stay at that level for a long period of time. Just keep your eye on it. If it stops winning, then reassess. How many races do you feel you have a good idea about horse potential? No, I think I can judge a horse within, a certain degree of certainty within about 3 or 4 races. Griffins don't mean a lot. I mean, it's nice to see $3 odds in a Griffin. Doesn't mean a great deal. Then plonk it into a paid race in the grade that it qualifies into, the lowest grade possible, so say grade 4. If it's now pulling 5s and 6s, ooh, we might have something. And then work your way up. You know, I'm not too worried about going, oh, well, let's test it in class 1 and kind of ruin the surprise straight away. I try and win as many class 4s and 5s and then 3s and then 2s and then in the 1s. And if you get to the 1s and you're still about $8, happy days. You got something incredible like Rendezvous or something like that. Not many of them, but they are out there. All right, guys, we'll do another 4 or 5 questions and then we'll wrap it up here. Make sure you subscribe so you know when I'm going to randomly jump on. Hit notifications. We got 25 viewers, 19 likes. I think we can get it over 100% before the end. Better financial. If you were starting right now and wanted to be a top 5, 10% stable, what would you be buying and what budget? Look at a shout out. The stable that has made the biggest moves in the last month, Good Boy Racing. I don't know how many horses they have in there, 12 or 10, but they have bought the best horses they could find, and I think that's a pretty strong, solid strategy. It's going to cost you a lot. Like they bought Baroque, I think was about 30 to 40 ETH for a Z1. You wouldn't get that horse for less than 60, 75, 80 ETH now, even if Good Boy would sell it, which I doubt they would. You wouldn't get it for under that. And then they've got Rendezvous, and they bought, who else? They've got another 3 or 4 really talented horses. They had a really good eye, and they hit the market at the right time, at the point where it hadn't yet exploded. Well, taken the next level up, if you like, on the explosion, on the rocket ship to the moon. So they were right in there where you could still get these horses at a reasonable level. You won't get high-performing Z1s now, as I said, for under 75 or 100 ETH, I wouldn't think. If you do, and there's only about 4 of them in the game, well, there's probably about 8 that I would class as the top Z1s, Baroque. I'm going to throw a couple of mine in there, Grandeur and Breathless Edge. I don't think anyone can argue too much about that. And then there's a few newcomers coming in. Phantom Pacer is very talented. Who else, guys? Throw me a few Z1s in the list there. Oh, Ducky Malone's a Z4, but she's right up there in that elite group as well. And there's a few others. You know, I wouldn't be selling one of them. I wouldn't be selling one of them. I would sell at the right price, but it's going to be expensive. So I don't know. I mean, it's a risky strategy in some sense, but it's also a safe-ish strategy because you're actually getting horses that are extremely desirable and extremely talented. So you used to be able to get your Z4s, 5s, 6s for around 8 ETH for the really, really good ones. I don't know that you'd get them there anymore either. But yeah, if you've got a big budget, again, not financial advice, but if you've got a big budget, that could be a strategy. The other stable that's interesting is the stable that bought Billions for $125,000, which has now gone up significantly on ETH value because that was about, I think it was about 60 ETH at the time. So you're probably looking at near 150 now with the increase, 150,000 US. But they have bought some real key horses as well. All right, Billions, some also high quality, very rare horses in. They own the entire slate grey allotment for the Z1s as well. Okay, so there's lots of different strategies. You could buy really good Z2s. That's more of a budget strategy, I think. Yep, can absolutely. Even the trash Genesis can breed good horses. Absolutely, they can. Yep, bloodline, different dynamics. One man's trash is another man's gold. Absolutely. There's been a lot of smart buyers buying essentially trash Z2s with good bloodlines, with their strategy to be that those bloodlines exist and can be bred into future champions. Excuse me. Okay, Galactic. Yeah, oh, Spirit of Ecstasy for sale. There you go. That is another high quality horse. Oh, hello desktop. What am I doing? Oh, no. I was going to go to my stats sheet for you guys and have a look at Spirit of Ecstasy, but I hit update and it takes hours and it's still updating, so I can't have a look. But I've seen Spirit of Ecstasy in many paid races, and she is a high quality horse. She's in the top few mares, I would say. So that's one that could be absolutely. Zabo or first. Oh, Tyler's noticed that Zabo's a first or last horse. First or last horses. Ducky, Silly. No, it might be a thing. Doofy's got a theory that it's a thing, that they're less consistent than Nakamoto's, but still very fast. And he was saying that he thought that Nakamoto's were very consistent and very fast, and then Zabo's are kind of fast but not consistent, and then Finny's were kind of a bit more like the Nakamoto's but not as high a level, and then Buterins were a bit more first and last. I haven't seen enough evidence to suggest if that's the case or not, but some Zabos look that way, and I haven't seen a Nakamoto yet that sort of does the first last thing much. Yeah, and I do have a Zabo. I've got a horse called My Behind, which tends to finish in the first. Well, it's not as talented as those horses, but it does have a few lasts in it and a couple of firsts. If I've got a new horse, what distance do I target? Whatever distance is on the Griffin. I'm not too fast. If it's a new bred horse, I might look at the parents for the race after the Griffin. I just get it through the Griffin and have a look. I mean, you can be tactical and drop it in the Griffin where you think it might be best, but there's so much natural variation in these offspring that I don't care. Not fussed. Dan, have I ever seen a horse get better after 50 races? Not so much on the odds, but definitely on the performance and winning percentages. We've got one called Blackjack. Very good odds, very competitive in Class 1. Got to about 50 races at about 10%, and went on a bit of a streak and almost touched 20% win rate. I'm not sure where he is now, but he almost got to 20%. He might be sitting around 18 now. I've also seen many other horses, that have gotten better after 50 races, and also a bunch that their performance starts to, or their winning percentage in particular, starts tailing off. Maxim. Twitch would be awesome streaming platform. Yeah, sure, mate. Look, I'm an old school. I'm an old dude, old dad. New technology. I don't have time to start. I might look at it, but I think one platform's enough. It's viable for everyone. Yeah, we'll leave that to the young kids to set up the Twitches and the thises and the Twitters and the this and that. I'll just do me old school YouTube for now. Is my mic going again, is it? Well, that's a good time to wrap it up, guys. We'll wrap it up there. So thanks again. Be sure to hit the subscribe and get the notifications so you know when I'm going to randomly come on for one of these. Hit the like button if you wouldn't mind as a thank you. Funny little one there from Michaela laughing. Yeah, Michaela. I am an early adopter, absolutely, in my personality, but I'm not one that's going to go and throw myself into extra hard work that is not much fun. Like, digital horse racing is really fun. And to be honest, I didn't buy six figures worth of horses. I only spent a fairly small sum at the time. Well, a relatively small sum as to where it is now. But it's fun and that's exciting. But Twitch and Twitter and all that stuff seems like hard work to me. But thanks, guys. Let's catch you again. I might do one in the morning tomorrow before I head away for the weekend. Otherwise, I'll catch you next week. We made it to 21 likes and 20 viewers. 100% over the top. Awesome, guys. Chat later. Bye for now.